So welcome to this ninth session of the personalized meditation training. Today we'll be talking about mantra. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your donations, about which I can only say that they are very much needed. And welcome also tomorrow, Saturday evening or noon, depending where you are, at the Lila Yoga Satsang live in the Facebook room. You don't need a Facebook account to join us for this satsang, and we can talk there about any subject you like. So even if you have not seen this class fully, you can still join. And these sessions are also not recorded, so your privacy is assured. Whatever is said in the room stays in the room. So we've been looking at many subjects of meditation intention, of relaxation prior to meditation, of concentration prior to meditation, at life, at the self, and today we have come to the main subject of mantra, which I like to start to explain by telling a little story. Some of you may have heard this story already, so I'll keep it short, but for those who haven't, I think it's an important story to explain why we do mantra meditation. So, this story is about a poor man in India somewhere, waking up in the morning in his hut and feeling very hungry. So he looks around, finds nothing to eat, but in one of his pockets he finds 1 rupee, which somehow he forgot. And so he thinks, okay, with this 1 rupee, if I go to the market, I'll maybe be able to buy some old potatoes or something, so I'll be able to eat something. Very good. So he goes to the market, looks around for the best possible deal, and then he sees there one man sitting behind a small table. And the man looks quite different from the other vendors. He's like looking quite rich and having very nice silk clothes and everything. And on this table there is only one item, which is an oil lamp, like, from Aladdin. And in front of that lamp there is a card saying only 1 rupee. Well, the poor man thinks, wow, if I can buy this lamp for 1 rupee, I might sell it for 50 or 100 rupees, so I could do very good business and get my belly filled. But, okay, he doesn't really trust it, it's just not enough, for such a beautiful oil lamp. So he asked this salesman, what's wrong with this lamp that you sell it for only 1 rupee? And then the salesman says, yes, I'll explain to you. This is actually a very magical lamp. Inside there is a genie, like a spirit. And this genie, he can do anything for you. Whatever you want, he'll get it for you. Oh, why do you want to get rid of it? Well, there's a little problem with this genie. If he has nothing to do, he becomes bored and he starts taking away everything he has given me. So now I'm really rich, I have everything I need, and I want to get rid of him so that I can enjoy whatever he brought me. So you can have him for 1 rupee. Only be careful, to keep him busy. The poor man says, well, I have nothing at all, so for sure I'll be able to keep him busy. So he buys the oil lamp, takes it to his hut, puts it on the table, and the genie comes out and asks, well, master, what can I do for you? Oh, his belly is rumbling, and so he says, well, I am so hungry, please make me a table of food fit for the king. And the genie snaps his fingers, and boom, there is a huge meal, fantastic meal, many things that he never even ate in his life before. So he wants to start eating, but already the genie again asks, oh, master, what can I do for you? Oh, can't you see, I want to eat, I'm hungry. Oh, master, if you get nothing for me to do, Then I get bored and then I take everything away from you again. No, master, that's not how it works. I have to keep busy. If I get bored, then I start taking away everything that I have given you. So then this food, it will all be gone. Huh. Then make me a palace fit for a king, says the poor man. The genie snaps his fingers and there is the palace. And the man starts walking around the palace looking at his first bathroom, second bathroom. And there again is the genie. Master, what can I do for you? So this goes on for a while until the man really becomes exhausted and he has now so many things but he can't enjoy them because the genie won't leave him alone. So he asked the genie to take him to his teacher who's living under a tree so that he can ask him for advice. So they come to the teacher and the teacher says, oh yeah, we yogis, we have this problem all the time. We know a very good solution. Oh. And he whispers something in the poor man's ear. And then the poor man thinks, wow, that's a great idea. And so he tells the genie, genie, bring me a pole, at least 6 meters long. The genie snaps his fingers, there is the pole. Now put it straight up into the ground. Okay, there it is. And now, genie, you're going to climb into the pole, and when you reach the top, you go back down, and when you are down, you go back up, etc. Well, the genie has no choice but to obey the order of the master and continue to go up and down, up and down, up and down this pole. So his teacher then says, you know, this way is very easy. When you need the genie, when you need him to do something for you, you just call him. When you don't need him, you put him back on the pole. Oh wow, fantastic. And they have a cup of tea. And then the master says, look, what happened now? And the genie is sleeping under the pole. So this story really explains what we use mantra for. We have a mind that is our genie. It's a fantastic tool. With this mind we can get anything. Maybe not with a finger clip, but if you want a Rolls Royce, then mind will find a way, you know, it'll find a plan. So this mind is a great tool, but it can't stop. It doesn't want to stop. It just goes on and on. And then, when we are having a nice Sunday afternoon, in which we want to just relax and enjoy our garden, then mind doesn't like this boredom, you know. Mind wants something to do. So then it starts making us think about all sorts of things and taking away our happiness, taking away our peace, taking away in that way everything which it has given us, by again creating a desire, by again creating the feeling of needing something instead of being able to enjoy what you already have. So at that time we need to find a pole on which people can put this mind so that it goes up and down and leaves us alone. And that is then the mantra. When we do mantra meditation, we are free from our mind. Our mind is occupied. Our mind is our tool. It has to do what we say. So we force it on the mantra, and that gives us the peace to enjoy life. And if we do this long enough, if we do the mantra meditation long enough, then finally mind will go to sleep while we are still awake, and then deep meditation really happens. And that brings also so many good changes. So this is a little story from Harish Johari, which I told a little bit in my own way. His story is really quite nice and long also. So I made it a little bit shorter. But so, mantra, it has two parts. And man comes from manas, which means mind, or simply thought. And then tra points towards a tool, or a vehicle, or a help, you could also say. So a mantra is a tool for mind, a vehicle for mind, a help for mind. So when we see the mantra as a tool, then we see it as a tool to control mind. When we see it as a vehicle, we see it really as a means of transportation to bring mind from one place to another, from one state to another state, from one kind of energy to a different kind of energy, so that we can really be transforming our mind and transform ourselves in the process. So that is where the mantra can be very, very helpful in meditation. No? It changes your mind. That's literally what it's doing. And so it is very important for us. The word man not only points to manas, but also to the word man, which comes in the Indo-Germanic languages, like in English, from the same source, and which means the thinker. Man is the thinker, as opposed to the animals, let's say, who are at least not thinking the way we do. But so that is the thinker. And so whatever we think for us is very important. It's the center of our life. So if through mantra we can directly influence that, then some progress can be made. And thinking is also speaking. Speaking is just out loud, thinking is inside, but both are actually the same. So in that way, sound is very important for us. Not just thinking, thinking is sound. So we are thinkers. No? So we need to work with that. And then there is also the word mantrana, which is a verb which means to suggest. So in that way also we can see the mantra as a suggestion towards ourselves, as a particular kind of thought energy that we offer to ourselves, that we work it ourselves, so that this can become more real inside of us. So we can say for meditation we can use any object, like also yantras are there, or the breath is there. We talked about that before. But not to use mantra at all, for me, is a little bit a waste of time and energy, because it is such a powerful tool. And even if you feel that the truth, the ultimate objective is without form, so you want to work with something without form, like we discussed in the last class on the self, even then one has to accept that we have to go from the form to the formless, from the thought to the thoughtlessness. And so mantra there is really what can help us. If we don't use it, it's fine, okay, you are free, but you are missing out on something. You're really not using a tool which is so widespread in any yoga tradition, in any spiritual tradition in the world. You will find some kind of mantra meditation. It is really like an energetic asana for the mind, an energetic posture for the mind, which, like any posture that we take with the body, has particular effects on the mind, which are very beneficial for the whole process of meditation and spiritual growth. Sound is extremely important for us. I already explained in the class on the senses that of the 5 senses, there are only 2 that are really very important to us humans, like as a species, which is sight and hearing. Now for sight, we have a very easy tool, the eyelids. We can close the eyes. But we don't have any earlids, so we can't close the ears. So there, to work with sound is quite simply very logical. And okay, mantras are for some associated with religion, and that's why many people don't like it, or they are associated quite simply with a different culture. So we feel we want to have our own mantras in English or in whatever language you speak. And that is of course also possible. It also has advantages to use an own mantra, to have a mantra which has a meaning, which really relates to you, which really vibrates with you. So that is an advantage, but still it is a disadvantage not to use the ancient Vedic mantras, because they are not just prayers, they are not just sayings, they are so much more. They have so much more power than any other phrase you can yourself come up with. Sound in itself has tremendous power. It is the ultimate creative force of the universe. So, sound is very powerful because it relates to the element of Akash, also known as space or ether. The element of Akash is the most subtle of all the elements, but it is also the origin of all the other elements which only are being formed through a process of more and more becoming condensed, more and more becoming gross and heavy. So from Akash, air is created, from air, fire is created, from fire, water is created, and finally from water, earth is created. So sound as Akash, because in a way both are the same, or at least two aspects of the same thing. In that way, sound is also the origin of all the elements and actually of the entire universe. The entire universe is created from sound and is actually nothing more or less than sound. Sound energies, sound frequencies, which are appearing as the universe. So even in the Bible, in the Old Testament, it says in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and from the Word everything came out. So that is also in a way the view of modern science with the Big Bang theory, where in the beginning there is a big bang, a big sound, a big word. And that word can still be heard by the scientific equipment that they nowadays can use, and they can hear there is a kind of background humming in the universe as a result of the Big Bang. So everything is made out of sound. We are also ourselves, in our bodies, in our energies, made out of sound. And in that way, there is something called the body of sound, where different sounds are also related to different parts of the body. So everything reacts to sound. It is very well known also in energetic medicine that sound can have an effect on how molecules are vibrating in the body, how molecules are rotating in the body, how molecules are interacting with each other in the body. So with sound we can really have an effect even up to the very atomic level of existence. Sound can have its effect. So then when we are thinking, this sound is actually more pure than the sound that comes when we are speaking. Because when we are speaking, the sound is transmitted through airwaves, through the element of air. While when we are thinking, then we are actually creating a sound in the space of our mind. So there that sound becomes very potent, very creative, let's say. Energetic effects of repeating certain sounds in the mind are extremely effective to change ourselves, to transform ourselves. One might say that to be is to sing, So how are you singing? What songs are you singing to yourself? What sounds are you bringing to your own mind? This can have a huge impact on your spiritual evolution. You are the sounds that you think or speak. So if we can work with these sounds, we can change how we think. So when we want to understand the true power of sounds, we have to first better understand something about thinking. In the Vedic science, they have developed a understanding of the thinking process, in which they say there are 4 modes of thinking or 4 kinds of thinking, or also 4 modes of speech. So these are very interesting. And what is said there is that the first mode of speech is called para. And para means a feeling which comes from deep inside, but which is yet undefined. We register it, we feel it, but we don't know yet what it is. And then comes the next step called pashyanti, in which this feeling translates into a very essential thought. Maybe this thought is only one word or a few words. A very essential idea comes out of this feeling. Then the third step or mode starts, which is called madhyama, where this principal idea is further expanded into a series of thoughts, into a certain kind of reasoning, into more, let's say, complete phrases, and where it is in a way analyzed by the mind. And then it can come out, maybe not also, but it can come out as actual speech, in which that which we have been thinking before in our mind, we are saying it also in words to others. So that is then called vaikri, speech. So para is extremely important, because from there the whole thinking process always starts. Para is often named the unstruck sound, like it is a sound, but it has no particular form, and that's why they say it is unstruck. So this para feeling, let's say, comes from deep inside of us. It comes from the subconscious mind, and it comes from the thousands of energy centers which are in our body. I mean, we often talk about the 7 chakras as if there were only like 7 energy centers, but these are just the main ones. We literally have thousands of energy centers in our body, and all these are vibrating in a certain way that generates para. So the chakras, the energy centers, they're the prana, the life force, which also relates to pure consciousness, by the way. The prana, it interacts with the elements of the body, with the earth, with the water, etc. And through this interaction comes a certain kind of desire, a certain wanting, which translates as para-thought, like a pre-thought, a pre-thought feeling. Now also in Western science they have discovered these ductless glands, which are quite related with the main 7 chakras, and which are called ductless or endocrine glands, because they are directly putting neurotransmitters and hormones and other molecules which are affecting our thoughts and our feelings. They are putting it directly into the bloodstream. So their effect is very direct. So from there it will affect then, like in the brain, in the synapses, it will affect also our thinking. The Western way is different to look at it, but there are many similarities, and what the West has now there discovered in the past few decades is quite the same thing as Vedic science is saying, except that in Vedic science these chakras are beyond the body level, are really on the energetic level. And so these chakras, nadis, also these energy channels, they are not purely physical, so they can also not be approached purely physically. Which is why many of the medications, for example, that are developed in Western science following this knowledge are not always that effective, because they only look at the most gross part of what is happening, while there is also a much more subtle part where we cannot touch with any molecules because it is beyond the material level. But so these para sounds generated by our energy are the source of all inspiration, they are the source of all intuition, they are the source of all thought, and in that way also the source of all action. So they are the origin, the very origin of whatever we do, and it works in both ways. These para sounds, they come from inside and they go to outside, but also from outside we can use sounds to affect this para, to change this para, to change our energetic vibration. And then that way, whatever we are thinking, whatever we are doing, also it will change. So new thoughts will come out, new way of speaking, new way of living, new actions will come out. So working with para is very important. It rules our lives. So if we can rule these para sounds, then we become much more in charge of who we really are. And then we have these billions of different sounds which are coming from deep inside. But among these are also categories or qualities. And the most important category of these sounds are very essential sounds, very universal sounds, sounds that are connected with the divine energies, which are themselves the, let's say, primary manifestation of the unmanifested pure consciousness and pure energy. So if we can start using those sounds, then we can also manifest these divine energies in ourselves, in our body, in our energy, in our thinking, in our life. And in that way, the working with mantra is a very profound way to change ourselves. Whatever we think, whatever we feel also, whatever we say, impacts us deep down, impacts us in our soul level. Now most of what we think or what we feel is so chaotic, let's say, that the impressions that are made in the subconscious mind, in the soul, are quite random and maybe not so very important. Only when we have certain repeated thought patterns, then they will have a more lasting impression on the soul. Let's say, for example, that the person is walking around with a lot of anger all the time and thinking the same thoughts over and over and over and over again. This will create a real strong imprint in our soul, and this imprint will also continue to bother us and bring up anger when it's really not logical or needed, and in that way very much affect us and can be seen as a true blockage in our soul, in our energy. So vice versa, by using the right sounds, by using specific sounds designed to generate more divine energy inside of us, we can also make imprints on our soul. These mantras can then be found not only in the neural patterns of the brain, where they can also be found, but they can also be found in our subconscious, in our soul, and from there they will vibrate and affect whatever is around it, and affect how we are, and affect how we evolve, and also are able even to remove certain of these blockages that we have created there. So as I said, mantras, sounds are a very, very powerful tool to change ourselves. So then the power of mantra goes quite beyond the meaning of the mantra, the idea of the mantra, because it is based on a very deep science of sound, a very deep understanding of sound that was developed in Vedic culture. So there we have, for example, the sounds related to the chakras. As I said, thousands of chakras, but even if we look only at the 7 main chakras, then there already 57 different kind of sounds are related. Each chakra has a central main sound, which is also shown on the picture, but also the petals of the lotus of the chakra, each one of them has a particular sound which deals with a particular aspect of that chakra and which can be used to remove a certain blockage in that chakra. So that is the first part of this science, the sounds of the chakras, Lang, Vang, Rang, etc., where the effect is very deep on not only how we feel, but also very much on our desires. And in that way, life-changing to use these sounds. And then, for example, we can work for, let's say, a few months with the lung sound and the petal sounds of the first chakra. And in that way see how our attitude and even how our situation in relation to basic, let's say, security has changed. How the way we deal with money has changed, how the way we deal with work and with food and with everything which relates to the body has changed. And then there is the Sanskrit alphabet, where we have a language which is unique in the world, because every one of these sounds in the Sanskrit alphabet has a particular meaning, and this meaning is associated with the particular effect it has on the energy. So let's say if we have a sound which creates an energy which makes us feel more courageous, then the meaning of that sound will also be, for example, the word courage. And then when we make words with different vowels and different consonants and combine these words, then we create a new concept, let's say, a new idea, which is based on different words associated with different sounds that then in themselves are also generated when using this word. So Sanskrit is a language, when you speak it, you create whatever it is that you are saying. When you speak the word courage, you generate the energy of courage inside of you and around you. So that makes it into a very special and powerful language, which then of course is used at length in the development of mantras. So there are other things to do with sound harmonies, how they relate to certain parts of us. There is the knowledge of different effects that specific sounds have, like for example the of Om. There we know, we can feel it very easily how the it vibrates our brain. So it's like a brain massage that we are giving there. And it is also known, for example, in Western science, that this sound, it generates a lot of nitric oxide in the body, which then in turn will, let's say, dynamize certain neurotransmitters in our system. So is another kind of sound which vibrates very much this area here, and so in that way also will have a particular effects. There is the difference between vowels, consonants and semi-vowels, where vowels are seen as the purest sounds and consonants as a little bit more sounds related to matter, because they need the vowels to be used You always need them. So in that way, they have an effect which is more on the body level, while the vowels have an effect which is more related to the mind and the soul and so on. And then the semi-vowels are somewhere there also quite important in between. So they affect us in so many ways. And then there are the so-called bija sounds or seed sounds, which are maybe the most important of all, because they relate directly to certain divine energies. So then Shreem, Reem, Kling, Hum, etc. They all have different vibration which relate to a different aspect of the divine. If you want generosity, then you use the Lakshmi mantra, because that Lakshmi mantra will create the sounds that are needed to create that generosity inside of you. And so in that way there's a huge knowledge there. I cannot explain it all. I don't know it all. I use a lot of mantra, but it's like with computers, some people know how they are on the inside and some people just use them. So I'm more like a user of mantra. But there are also the so-called sympathetic overtones. The overtones are tones that are sounding next to the main tone that we are using, and in that way have a very strong effect on our sympathetic nervous system. And so they can affect our breath, they can affect many of the things that are happening automatically in the body. And this science was also not developed by studying the effect of certain sounds on people and what do you feel, It would be very hard to do. These sounds, these mantras originate with the rishis, the ancient seers of Vedic culture, the yogis of ancient times. And the word rishis comes from the word richa. And richa particularly points to these essential sound energies that relate to the divine. And so these sound energies, they are present inside the universe and inside each and every one of us, and were heard by these rishis, by these seers in deep meditation. In deep meditation, there are also different phases, which we will talk about next session. But one of those phases is called Samprajnat Samadhi, which basically means that, okay, you are in Samadhi, so you are no longer thinking, but still some purely energetical, mental objects can be perceived. So it is there that these objects, these mantras, these sounds are perceived, and then when coming out of meditation, remembered and passed on to others to use as mantras. So that's how the thousands of mantras evolved, or at least that's how the original mantras of Vedic science evolved, because afterwards I'm sure many of the mantras also were more generated in a more rational fashion, I would say, and not so much from pure intuition, from pure para sound as it is heard in deep meditation. So all the Vedic knowledge, actually, it comes in verse, it comes as a sort of a mantra. All this knowledge is heard in deep meditation. That is also why the Rig Veda, the first of the Vedas, is called Rig Veda, because this word Rig again relates to Richa, which is these essential sound frequencies of the divine. So then, for example, we have the Gayatri mantra, which is working on 24 different energy centers through 24 syllables, and has a fantastic effect on how you feel, and easily in that way bring you so much closer to the essence of yoga, to the self and pure consciousness and deeper meditation. So when we use mantra, we are changing ourselves, we are transforming ourselves, and we are also gaining a very essential sacred knowledge, as you could say these para sounds, which will vibrate inside of us and which will bring out then new ideas, which will create new thought patterns, which will create new speech, and which will create new actions. So in that way, they are extremely valuable. And so then the question comes, which mantra to use? How to choose the mantra which is right for you? So that question actually relates to the question of what kind of energy do you want to generate? What kind of divine quality you believe is missing in your life and you feel is very important, and so you want to strengthen it. So then we come to the study of different mantras in relationship to different deities, and even if you don't so much believe in these deities, that's a different subject. You can see what these deities are representing, what kind of energy they are creating, and then feel attracted to this energy, and in that way also feel attracted to a particular mantra. Some mantras are more worldly also, some are more spiritual. Some are maybe more ascetic, like Shiva-related mantras are going to make you more into a monk, into somebody who withdraws from life. While the very famous Hare Krishna mantra, for example, is going to create a lot of joy and positive energy and desire for life inside of you. So many different choices are there. Some mantras are used for healing. Some mantras are useful to promote wealth or anything like that. For everything you want, actually, you can find a mantra. So some people will mostly go for the so-called Maha mantras, the great mantras, which are usually very old mantras, very original mantras, very much used mantras, and in that way very much popular mantras. But to my experience, it's also a little bit a matter of which tradition you are looking at to see which mantras are named as Maha mantras. So I don't think that this would be your main focus. But of course, if they are that old, they are most original and maybe also more powerful than some others, which are more constructed, I would say, in a mental way. And of course, the meaning of the mantra is also important to know and to feel a connection to. And that relates then to the connection you feel to the particular energy of the deity that is being generated by the mantra. But so it's a personal choice. That is also actually where this tradition came from, to give people a particular mantra. No, the teacher giving a mantra to the student, really suited to that student, really suited to what he wants and what he needs. And then, okay, some of those mantras are kept secret. This is, I think, for most mantras not needed. But some mantras can be used also a little bit in a wrong way. So those very specific tantric mantras are best kept secret from people who might abuse it. But for the rest, I think there's no need to keep everything a secret. Their mantras are there to be used. They are great tools available to humanity, so they should also be shared. Of course, with proper pronunciation, learned to whoever wants to use them. No? If you look on YouTube, so many mantras there are being sung in a wrong way, using wrong sounds, and in that way they will also disturb the effect of the mantra. So we can work with many different mantras, but we cannot manifest every divine energy at the same time. So we do have to choose, and I would say, like I explained before, that also among the divine energies there should be one preferred deity called Ishtadeva, one personal deity, and that also means there should be one Ishta mantra, one mantra which will serve you all your life. And even though you may use other mantras for other purposes, will always be a part of your practice and will be the main way in which you generate peace inside. So that is something important. Also, you can try out different mantras, but at some point you have to choose one. Especially if mantra meditation is new for you, it's better not to use a dozen mantras at the same time. It's better to stick to one mantra, so this neural pattern and energetic pattern, this para sound pattern inside of you can really be properly established, and that will not only be very helpful for your meditation and concentration, but will also truly generate that energy inside of you. Repetition here of the mantra is essential to generate the power or energy associated with the mantra. So, in the first session of this series, I have given you 5 mantras to choose from. The Ganesh mantra, the Gayatri mantra, the Kali mantra, the Bhairav mantra, and the Shiva mantra. Thinking, okay, there you already have one mantra, I would say, for general spiritual growth, Ganesha. You have one mantra for those who are mostly interested in self-knowledge, Gayatri mantra. You have one mantra for people who are too much worrying and too much afraid in life. You have one mantra for people who are too easily irritated and too angry. And then you have one mantra for those who really want to withdraw and make life a lot more simple, Shiva mantra. So these are there, but I have added in the resources for this session 4 more mantras, which I like to discuss briefly, because I think they still cover a few other categories of people. As I said, there are thousands of mantras, but so these are some of the main and generally speaking also quite old mantras. I have also added the audio files in the home resources, so it's very important if you want to learn these mantras that you use these audio files until you know that these mantras you are pronouncing them correctly. Then of course you can do them without using these audio files. So the first mantra is Saraswati mantra, which is very suitable for anybody involved with art and music and literature, for students who want to develop their creative abilities, their intuition. And so Om Aing Saraswataye Namaha, very, very short mantra and very good if you want to generate that kind of beautiful Saraswati energy inside of you. And then there is the general Vishnu mantra, Om Namo Narayanaya, which is very, very good for householder yogis who want to lead a spiritual life, but also like to enjoy life and help to bring harmony in life, to make a good life for everybody. This is actually where Vishnu is playing a very important role. And then we have Lakshmi mantra, Om Shring Ring Kling Mahalakshmi Namaha, which is very suitable for improving your financial situation, so this may come in handy sometimes, for increasing your wealth. Beauty also is related to Lakshmi, and especially also generosity. And then in case of people who have very serious illness and want to, work with mantra to get better, in case there is even a serious risk of death, then the very famous Mahamrityunjaya mantra is used. Mahamrityunjaya is a form of Shiva, carrying the life-giving ambrosia, the nectar of life. So, very healing mantra this is. Om Trayambakam Yajamahi Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanani Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. So there also you have an audio file. Will be a little more work, I think, to learn it, but beautiful, beautiful mantra, very powerful, very strong, and very useful in case of strong illness. So please do experiment with these mantras. Don't look at them so much from the mind, from your thoughts. Okay, a bit is okay, but most of all, try them out. Feel what they do to you. Feel their energy. Learn to feel those essential energies, and from there choose which ones seem to make you feel best or suit you best or generate the feeling that you want to feel. So and then once we have found a mantra, the question is how to use it. Basically, we can use it in two different ways. We can use it as an object of our meditation, or we can also use it simply in life, reciting the mantra out loud or inside whenever we have the time. So both methods are actually quite complementary. And talking about the use in life, you know, there are so many times of the day in which you don't really need to think, in which you might even find your thoughts quite annoying or repetitive and quite useless. So those are the times to use the mantra, and at the same time, you know, you do the cleaning or you do the walking or you do whatever it is that you have to do, and which does not require any thinking, you know. It'll make all of that a lot more agreeable also, and at the same time you will also adding to the power of the mantra inside you. On the energetic level, on the level of the neural patterns, this mantra will become stronger in you, and that will not only change you through these essential sound effects, but it will also definitely make the mantra more imprinted on your soul, and in that way it will be so much easier to concentrate on it in meditation. So the difference in life is definitely that when we use a mantra there, we can have other thoughts in between. It does not mean we have to concentrate only on the mantra. But let's say when something needs to be thought about, we think about it, and then that stops, and then we again automatically actually come back to the mantra. It becomes like a kind of song of the radio that you have heard, and which also keeps repeating itself inside your mind. So the same way the mantra there at some point becomes like a background sound which is always there, and which just will become a little bit more loud and clear whenever there's no thinking needed, and then whenever thinking is needed, okay, it will just go into the background. So in that way it can also affect you. One main thing though there is that it is important once you start a mantra to also finish it. So this is something to watch out for when you use the mantra in life in this way, that whenever the mantra comes to your mind, that you also try to finish it, because otherwise you're creating half of the neural pattern only, half of the energetic pattern only. So it's important that it is complete. So many different ways are there. We're always talking here about mantras, but actually Japa, the repetition of mantra, in India also often is Nam Japa, which means that you repeat the name of some divine energy, which itself also has, of course, a sound effect, an energetic effect that relates to the essential meaning of that deity. So then people can go Ram, 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 or Sitaram, 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 combining, you know, Vishnu and Lakshmi in these two forms, Shiv, 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 Shiv. So these things are all possible. A definitely very powerful way also to work with mantra is with written japa, of which I will show some picture of Hanumanji, which was made by Hari Johari. He actually had this habit every day, every morning. He would make this drawing and then use written mantra related to Hanuman to complete the drawing, to make the drawing, and in this way every day repeat that imprint, repeat that energy. And in terms of tantric power, that is said to be even more powerful than using of mantra in meditation. Is not, of course, not meditation, but the way in which you are totally involved with the mantra, both in the mind which is repeating the mantra, as in the body and the fingers, your entire concentration is there, you know, in writing the mantra and writing it beautifully, making something nice out of it. This sign of engagement is also very good to get the mantra like deeply installed inside of you. And so then in meditation we've already talked about synchronizing mantra with breath, about visualization of mantra syllables or parts of the mantra, all things that, you know, we can do to increase our concentration, to give us something to have more to hang on to. Where we also try to keep the attention focus inside the body, in the third eye, the heart center, etc. These are all tools that actually are part of the phase of concentration. And there also with mantra, we also have the possibility to start with singing out loud and then slowly sing maybe with a little bit less volume, until we are mumbling the mantra, until we are reciting it in South. So this sliding motion inside is something which I very much can advise also from my own experience, that it works very well. In the beginning when we are singing, then we can put some emotion into it. This also helps very much to engage the mind. We can sing really beautifully. And really on the more gross level, you might say, that way experience the energy of the mantra until it becomes more purely mental and we move inside. Another method used, and which I have also used with some of my students, is to sing mantra for a very long time. So without going inside, actually always singing for hours and hours and hours the same mantra. Like a mantra marathon, you can say. And that has a very good effect also, in the sense that many people, when they do that, and they sing for 3 hours, 4 hours, something like that is needed to have the effect, then they get into a kind of a trance. They have no other way, you know. In the beginning they can do the mantra, sing the mantra and think all sorts of stuff. But after a while you get real tired, and in order to continue singing the mantra, you really need to focus on it, you really need to concentrate on it. And in that way they come into some kind of state, which is at least the beginning of deeper meditation. And what is very interesting about it is that most people, once then the malas are done and the mantra is finished, and we all sit there quite exhausted, that everybody at that moment experience extreme silence inside. So for people who are as yet unable to be silent inside, as I explained, as a major way to allow concentration on a mantra or anything to happen. So that feeling then, it comes, and maybe for half a minute or few minutes or longer, these people are just there and they experience total silence inside. So that experience is then very valuable. This long-term singing does not need to be repeated all the time. It's just a phase which you go through. You could try it yourself at home. Just sit and sing for hours and hours and hours without stopping and see what it does to you. You will definitely learn something. You will definitely from that get the ability to properly concentrate with a silent mind and really go into deeper meditation. So that is, all these things are there in the phase of concentration, let's say, to help us, to keep us focused. Until then we feel we are focused and we really enter dhyana, we really enter meditation, where everybody actually then has to start doing more or less the same thing, which means that the mantra has to be there and you have to observe it. So then a mantra is almost like automatically recited by mind. This is also very much helped by the creation of neural patterns, by the use of mantra in life as much as you can. So that then this mantra is just being sung by mind and you are the observer for it, which is the last thing actually you can do or reach on your own. After that, deep meditation happens and then, you have no more control and nothing more actually left to do. So we'll talk more about that in session number 10. Another subject is, of course, the speed of the mantra. It's personal. Some people prefer to do it slow with more feeling. But then they have the advantage that when we do it quite slow, then there's more space in between the words, and these spaces are then used by thoughts to come and annoy us. So whenever that happens, in any case, the only thing to do is not to think about it, to go back to the mantra. I've repeated that many times, but it's the most essential teaching on mantra meditation. Just, always go back to the mantra. So then in higher speed, there's less space. It's maybe more easy to keep the concentration for some people. And especially once you have developed this ability to witness the mantra, then this speed will also not feel like, let's say, agitated, and will not feel restless, so that you can also at the same time, as the observer, enjoy peace while the mantra is going there. Actually quite fast. And there when we come to the phase where the mantra almost becomes like a para sound, which means it becomes the essence of its sound and not so much its sound anymore. When this mantra meditation is happening somewhere on the interface between the subconscious and the conscious, there the speed will increase tremendously, and you will not be so much, let's say, listening to your own mantra recitation. It will just happen too fast to listen, because listening also takes time, Too fast to listen, but still it will be correct, because you will feel the energy of it being correct. And in that way you don't have to worry about it or watch it. Immediately if something goes wrong, you will feel it. If some thought comes in between, you will feel it. And then a little bit maybe slow down and focus back on the mantra. But so once it's running, it can run quite fast on its own. So then mantras can also be used to get spiritual help, which is session 11. We will talk about it. That's really a huge subject to explain, so I'll not say too much more about it, except to say that in getting spiritual help, mantra, you can say, is like a kind of money with very specific value in the spiritual world. So there the tradition has come to exchange this money, exchange this mantra money for some kind of spiritual help. And then particular numbers of mantras are being done, like the famous 108 mantras of the Rosary, which is found in all cultures of the world, which is a very particular number. But then there's also the number 11, if you don't have a lot of time, 27, 54, different numbers are there. We'll talk more about it in the section on getting spiritual help. There also then we will combine the mantra with doing fire ritual, offer the mantra to the fire. In the tantric way, mantra becomes an offering, like the fruits may be an offering, or the rice may be an offering, or the incense may be an offering. It is something that we offer to the spiritual world to get something in return. And this something then is also a power, a mantra siddhi, a power related to a particular mantra, which can help us in then so many ways. And so from there comes this tradition to count mantras on malas, and also then to count malas, because really if you want to develop one of these mantras, it's not about doing a few hundred mantras, it's about doing thousands of mantras, hundreds or thousands of malas of mantras. That will get you there. And then, for example, the number of malas is counted with grains of rice. And I tell you one story about a lady who came to me. One day she was in front of my door and she looked very unhappy and she asked for my help. And she explained a little bit about her situation, which was very difficult with her husband. And the husband was on a business trip, so she could take the time to come and visit me, but she only had very short time. And she was very distracted. She could hardly listen to what I was saying. She was just going on and on and on about her problems, and I had hardly any way to help her by saying something back. So I thought, what can I do, in this situation? So I gave her the Gayatri mantra. I taught her the proper pronunciation, gave her an audio file, gave her a mala. I said, well, from what I understand in your story, you have a lot of time that you are sitting at home doing nothing. This is one of the problems. He was terribly bored also. So I said, whatever you can do, there in times of Gayatri mantra, it will change you, it will help you, it will make you more strong, and will enable you to deal with this situation. And I, a little bit to stimulate her, I said, okay, when you come back, because in 3 months' time or something she was planning to come back, when you come back, bring me 1 grain of rice for every mala that you have done. So then, 3 months later, this lady came back and she was totally changed from a blabbering, uncertain, really extremely nervous person. She had become totally calm, composed, very strong. She actually sued her husband, got lots of money, felt very good. And she brought me maybe this much rice. So imagine how many malas of Gayatri mantra she must have done. So and then we come to the subject of the mala, which is a tool used in, as I said, most religious traditions and most spiritual traditions, the rosary, which is used to count mantras, and which is a great tool because that way the ego can make a decision about the duration of the meditation and stick to it. Okay, you can also set a timer, that is also totally possible. But if you're just going to sit there and do some mantra, then very soon mind will come up with some excuse to stop, with something else that needs to be done or whatever, So, but then if the ego knows, no, I said I was going to do 1 mala or 2 malas or whatever number, it has chosen in the beginning, then it will want to stick to that. And that way the proper amount of time will be spent. So that's basically what a mala is used for. If you go and buy one, there's a few things to look at. There should be 109 beads, because we are only using 108 of them, and this last bead, the so-called sumeru, is not to be used. So then we start with the mala on this side, we come to the sumeru, and then we feel, okay, it's finished. If you want to do more than 1 mala, then we have to go back this way and come back here to the sumeru. So the sumeru should never be crossed. There's a little thing. So when you buy a mala, you count beads for sure, mistakes are human. It's good also if the beads are individually knotted. That makes it easier to handle them. And also if for some reason or other the mala breaks, then not all these beads are rolling over the floor, only maybe one you will have to find. So this is a little bit practical. So then how to use it? It's supposed to be used in the right hand. And thumb and middle finger should be actually the ones guiding the mala. even though the ring finger also it can be used. So in that way we move the beads as the mantra goes. And this movement actually with our fingertips, which have lots of nerves, are also quite helpful in concentration, which is another reason to use the mantra. So your hand should of course not be like this. No? This may be used sometimes in some ritual or something to do one mala. But when you do meditation, you want your hand to be, resting on your legs, and from there you do the mala, and then maybe sometimes you move it up a little bit so it doesn't get stuck. So especially with the bigger mala, then sometimes, it gets knotted, it gets stuck. And then you just move it up a little bit so it doesn't get stuck. Big or small advantages are there in both. Like this is a small one, which I prefer because I can easily wear it under my clothes. So that means I have my mala always with me and can use it wherever I am. So that is one reason. But then there are other, like this mala, which is quite long. No? And some people will prefer it. I have quite thin fingers, so I can easily handle small beads, but some people may be preferring, the bigger beads. And with bigger beads, you will more like shove the bead each time to the side, so that way it easily works. With the smaller beads, you can't so much do that. There you are more going to make like a rolling motion. You're going to roll the bead and in that way move from one bead to another. It doesn't matter, you just have to get used one way or another. So then in terms of types of materials, these are typical Rudraksh malas. Rudraksh being the seed from the Rudraksh tree, and they are mostly associated with Shiva mantras and with Kali mantras. Then you may also have Tulsi malas, which are made of Tulsi wood, like this one, which are used more for mantras related to Vishnu. So different materials are there. Some people prefer malas made of gemstones or semi-precious stones, because these stones, of course, they also have a certain effect on us. So that is definitely possible also to choose a mala in such a way. And one of the properties of malas also is that by using them for a longer time, they also acquire a certain energy from the mantra. And so then that energy from the mantra is present each time when you start using the mala again. So that is a very useful thing. However, if you want to do it in that way, then it's best to use only one particular mala for one particular mantra. If you don't really use it that way, then with one mala you can do many different mantras, like I'm actually doing with this one. But some malas, they have a special power associated with a special mantra. So this is all possible. To actually bring power inside a mala is also not so easy, so this is something which takes time and takes maybe a little bigger beads and not so much these very small beads. So use of mala, very important part when you start mantra meditation. However, mala has the disadvantage of keeping your attention outside, because you are doing this thing with your fingers, so you still have like outside. So definitely then the saying goes that it is not because the mala is finished that the mantra has to stop. So this means that first you use the mala, one mala, two mala, whatever. And then when the mala is finished, the minimum to do is still say the mantra a few times, 3, 4, 5 times, just be a little generous, But a better way even is to say, okay, I'm going to meditate for about 1 hour. Then I'll use 2 malas to do the first 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and then the last 15 minutes I'll do the mantra without mala, so then I can properly go inside. I'm no longer having to do anything outside, and deeper meditation is possible. So this kind of ways are there to use the mala and mantra meditation. So last but not least, we come to the daily exercises for this week. Last week we were focusing everything on the self, so also the meditation was entirely focused on the self, so that the people who had become maybe a little bit addicted to mantra until now were forced away from that and try to experience something else and see what it can bring them. And so this week we are turning it around for those who are a little bit addicted to only concentrating on pure being or the breath or something like that. Now please, for 1 week, just try some mantras, try some different types of mantra meditation and see what it does to you. Only if you have the experience, then you can really say, is this something for me or not? So unless you already have a mantra meditation practice which you feel is really working for you, I suggest that everybody a little bit this week tries out working in different ways with the mantras. Why not for 15 minutes chant the mantra out loud, as I explained, or start singing the mantra, then slowly sing less loud and then move inside. So this is another way. Or, do it with a lot of bhakti, with a lot of devotion, synchronize with your breath, recite the mantra inside with visualization. So these are different things that you can then try. Ultimately, always to come to the more basic kind of mantra meditation, the real meditation, where the mantra is happening in your mind and you are the observer of it. So this is what I advise for this week. Thanks everybody for being here, for sharing also with your friends this class, and I hope to see you tomorrow, Saturday, on the satsang, the online Lila Yoga satsang Q&A session in Messenger rooms. You don't need a Facebook account to access it. Nothing is being recorded, so your privacy is assured, so I can only repeat myself many times by saying, please, I expect you to be there. It's so much fun. It's so much nice togetherness and some learning also. It can happen then there.